Thank you, viewers, for joining us again. Today we have with us Mr. Wahome Ngari. Mr. Wahome Ngari is a trainer and a consultant in the area of leadership and training. He has founded a company, Citadel Limited, which deals with training on financial matters and also on leadership. And today he is here to talk to us about leadership during this critical period of COVID-19 and the leadership we need to offer to different sectors of the society. And so welcome, Mr. Wahome.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Maybe because we are told leadership is influence.
Yes.
You could start by defining who is a leader and what influence they need to insert in times like this.
Thank you for that question. And leadership has been defined very many different ways. I would say leadership is somebody who's got followers. Leadership is a leader is somebody who points a direction for others to follow. Leader is somebody who takes people where they want to go and shows them the way how to get there. So there are many definitions of leadership, and leaders comes in very many ways. If you are a parent, you're a leader naturally, because you have people that you need to lead. Here in a church setup, we have very different levels of leaders: deacons, elders, group leaders. In the community, we have different type of leaders. We have from Zewa Nyumba Kumi all the way to the presidency. In every other dimension, including business, we have leaders. So there are very, very many different types of leaders, wherever you are. And basically, this is just somebody who gets people to do what they want to do in a more efficient way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that definition. I know that leadership is wanted more than ever before.
Yes.
During this time.
Yeah.
Can you maybe describe to us the kind of crisis that those you lead are going through during the COVID-19?
For everybody who is alive today and has a role of leader, I think there's quite a bit of crisis. Started as a health crisis, coronavirus pandemic, which was basically a healthcare matter, basically hinging on personal hygiene. It has mutated to a social crisis now. We have serious issues because of the containment measures. We're having a lot of conflict in society. It's become an economic crisis. You can actually see people have a lot of concerns about their business, about their jobs and all these things. It has become a security crisis. We have seen issues of crime going up. And very recently we've seen it's become a diplomatic crisis, that countries that are neighbors are actually quarreling about boundaries. So it started as one crisis and it's become a lot of crisis. And because of the issues of containment, maybe control, there's a lot of change in the way we have always done the things that we do. Now we don't do handshake, which we are so used to. We don't hug even the people we love. We don't congregate in a group. And this crisis is becoming big because when somebody gets infected, we have a lot of issues that we have to deal with. So the disease itself is a crisis in itself. The consequences of the presence of the disease has also become other multiple crises in the country.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I think the bottom line is that people are afraid. There's a lot of fear.
There's a lot of fear, yes, because there's a lot of uncertainty, and there are many things that are causing fear if you think about it. The disease itself is causing a lot of fear. I mean, very infectious. You do not know whether you will actually survive, especially people who have underlying conditions. If you got unwell, you have a big risk of infecting those you love. Yeah. Okay. Now to try and do containment, there is a whole issue of quarantine, and you can be taken away into quarantine, and it's fearful. Previously, you needed to pay your cost of getting quarantined. Now this containment, and people have been cut off. Parts of the family might be in one part of the country, and people in another part are not able to be there. If you're leading maybe a workplace, You're wondering, will this business be there tomorrow? Will it not be there? In family, we have children at home, and we're very, very worried about how long, when is the school year going to get to an end? And as though that's not enough, we have other challenges in life. We see in flooding, and a lot of people are in trouble because of the water. Now, I'm supposed to be a teacher. I've never taught my life, and I have to keep my children busy. So you can actually see there's a lot of fear. And fear is interesting because, yes, fear is good, and fear can be a motivator, but in its extreme sense, fear can obviously be very, very damaging. Because in extreme sense, fear will cause panic. And you know, the body is, God is created as for survival. So if you actually get in a panicky situation, the body will even generate chemicals to actually cope, adrenaline to cope, and you find your heart is beating faster to supply the body cells with more oxygen. Your lungs will be looking for more air. Your muscles will actually be shivering. The reason why they're shivering is because you have to be prepared for either to fight or to flight. And you know, in the meanwhile, your sweat glands are preparing to keep the muscles warm, and your vocal cords might actually be called upon to do duty. So there's a lot of things that happen. And when you're a leader today, one of the things you need to do is to help the people to cope with the fear.
Because
and so you cannot be the source of fear yourself.
Is that fear is also causing more problems.
Yes.
And here we talk about a leader. Maybe you can tell us how a leader is supposed to deal with themselves before they can also deal with their followers.
Okay, one of the things we know is, and we're grateful to God, is that this is a crisis. It is an unprecedented crisis. So you're actually leading people in a place you have never been. And so as a leader today, one of the things you need to accept is that you are a leader of equals. You do not know better than the people you're leading. You have not been there. You cannot tell them, I know this, I've been here before. So the resources you're looking for in terms of ideas, in terms of insights, might actually be coming from the group that you have. So you must acknowledge that you're a leader among equals. By the end of the day, they will not actually say you did it. They will say we did it. And so the leadership we are looking at today is somebody who can acknowledge that I don't have the answer. But what is my biggest role is to create hope. As a leader, I must create hope. And humanity has faced challenges over the years. We've been told about the 1920 Spanish flu that killed 50 million people. That's a lot of people. 150,000 people here in our own country. Our grandfathers were coming back from the World War, and they actually brought the virus here. People who are slightly older can remember the 1950s, years of emergency and the disruption in people's lives. There are people who can actually remember the coup in 1982 and the curfews that happened in then. A lot of us would remember the post-election violence in 2007 and the disruption in life. And somehow humanity and the country found its way, and we found our way. As Christians, that's why we have hope. And if you look at that, as leaders, we have to be not the source of fear. As a leader, you, even when you don't know where they are going, you have to give them hope. My grandmother used to tell me a story. She was born before the British came here, and she said there was a lot of famine in the 1930s. And there were days the mother did not have any food, but the children were expectant. Now, to give them hope, they would actually even go to the farm, just cut a banana trunk, chop it in small pieces, put it in the pot, and start boiling it, and tell the children there is going to be a meal, don't worry. But she knew these children will fall asleep, but they fall asleep with hope. So sometimes even if the people are leading, they go asleep, they must go and sleep when they have the hope. They should never be fearful because of what you said or what you've done. And that's what we're saying to people as a leader. What do you post? What are your comments? And social media is actually fairly frightening at the moment. A lot of negative messages, a lot of frightening conspiracy theories. You know, people have told us the whole story about the 666, and every time we hear the carefree here, and they're doing research. If they found a vaccine, are we still going to say it's Cambridge? Yes. Are we going to say it is a whole issue of
the
number? I mean, we have been taking our children for vaccination over all these years, and we have actually never said it's the number. You know, this is fear. People are selling fear. So as a leader, you cannot afford to sell fear. You cannot sell fear. You are an agent of hope. You are an agent of hope. You know, if you're flying and your fellow passenger in the plane woke up and started screaming there's danger, you would actually ignore them. What would happen if the cabin crew actually said the same words?
You take them
Very
very
serious
seriously.
panic. And that is where we have to be very measured in what we communicate as readers. Just like my grandmother, you're cooking the pot, you know there's not going to be food, but you're giving hope. So one of the biggest pieces is leaders must give hope at this time.
And I like it when you talk about participatory leadership.
Yes.
Because you don't have all the answers. But by involving others, together you come up with solutions.
Yes.
But the most important thing is a leader should not create fear.
No, a leader should not create fear.
Yes.
And you should actually help your people to cope with fear. How people, positive information is very good. Keeping them engaged and busy is also very important. And we're saying to people in the workplaces, I know people are working at home, but can you help people to have a routine?
Yeah.
A daily routine, just like they're used to. And in the home, they can claim some space and call it the home office, and they'll be able to work with them. And they have a timetable. This is the time we wake up, we say our prayer, we do our exercise, we do a devotion, we have time for the children. Whatever the activities, you have a schedule, a complete schedule that you're busy. It is time people have to eat well. Because if people don't eat well and they are home for long, it doesn't take long to stand in front of the mirror and to see the food is settling in the wrong places.
Eating well does not mean eating much.
No, that's a whole different thing. We are sedentary, we're not moving a lot, and that's why we need to be careful people.
Keep communicating, but communicate the right message.
Yes. Communicate the right message to the people you lead, to your customers. One of the things people fear is change. And we have been forced into very abrupt change.
Yeah.
One Sunday we are in church, we're doing our service. Next Sunday we need to do it on the phone.
Very sad.
And technology has actually come in to help in that space.
Yeah.
And there are people who are raggards and they fear technology. So they are finding it difficult and they are missing it out. And we need to help people to come into that technology space. And so if you're helping people to deal with fear, remember they will even be fearing the technology itself. And people from my generation know when we learned how to drive, we drove a car that had gears. But today the car, either you put forward or you put back and moves. And there were people who found it difficult to actually move from the manual car to the auto car. And it happens with everything.
Yeah.
There were people when M-Pesa came, they did not find a way, they didn't want to go into M-Pesa. Very recently, government says don't handle cash.
Yeah.
It can be a vector of spreading the virus. And people used to actually very oppose. But today people have found it easier to change. So change is gradual. And so as a leader, you have to help people to change. We have stopped shaking hands. We stopped hugging because of understanding. And as we continuously go through this, as a leader, you'll be able to help people to transcend this change without a lot of fear.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you say the leader must be the first to change. Okay. One of the issues that I've had many people talk about is loneliness.
Yes.
How do we cope with loneliness during this time?
Loneliness is natural. It will happen. We were not created to be alone. In a situation as we cope with COVID, we are getting lonely because maybe you're working at home, we have containment, we have curfew, and we have all these things that are keeping us away from each other. And because of that, we suffer loneliness, which has very negative psychosocial effects. By the way, that's why they use isolation in prisons. Okay, it's got very, very negative social. And doctors will tell you if somebody has got wounds and they stay alone, they will not even heal. Who generally get heart attacks tend to get a heart attack when they are alone. So it is important when we learn to be together. And why are people getting lonely? Because if you're in a workplace or if you're in church, we had moments of togetherness.
Yes.
And we have lost those moments of togetherness. Could have been a district fellowship. It could be a meeting. It could be a team building activity. We are not doing all those things. And so to cope now, we have to have, the leader must help people to have a new regime where they are going to cope. So one of the things is getting in touch. And I like what I see a lot of people. And when I call you, Minister, I should not actually give you the traditional phone call. I can actually do a video call, which means I can see you and you can see me. In our setup, we like seeing each other.
Yes.
And when I see you, distance disappears. I feel like we were together.
Yeah.
And so this is one thing that's going to help people. We have a lot of technology now. We have technology like Zoom, Google Meet, and the whole works of them. And that makes it easier for people to congregate together even when they are not physically together. So now a leader must help people in those activities, encourage people, join the neighborhood if they are jogging so that you're not jogging alone, go outdoor. So all these issues of dealing with loneliness is trying to get people to engage again, even while they're keeping social distance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very powerful suggestions and points.
Yes.
I think I'll not do justice if I don't ask you about a few tips on finances during this difficult time.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. One is that we know a lot of people have lost their source of livelihood. Businesses have closed. People have gone on lower income. But a lot of people also have more money than they had before. Ask me how. We have had a change in the taxation system.
Yeah.
People who are on pay-as-you-earn, they have gotten some surplus income because the tax change. Now, when you're working at home, a lot of your costs have been cut out. If you're driving to work or using the bus to work, you actually have that money you are using that you're not using. You have a saving. If you're eating out lunch in a restaurant, you're actually eating home. But I know, yes, the children are home maybe, and you had paid the fees, so there's an upside on this. We're spending a bit more on communication. And the whole idea is now we need to be conservative. We need to enter in financial terms what we call financial hibernation. We have to borrow from nature, from animals. When it is winter, they hibernate. They stop activity so that they are not expending energy. So it is not necessarily the time to go into new projects. It is not necessarily the time to go into new expenses. There's a lot of temptation to buy things online because everybody is selling online, but this is the time to actually refuse temptation. We've been always talking about contingency planning. Now we're looking at contingency execution. And we can reserve money. We need to reserve it to a bit of time. If you are adventurous and you want to invest, there's huge investment opportunity now. People who want to go and buy shares, this is the best time to buy. The prices are down. For little money, you can actually buy more. If you have an asset, please, this is not the time to dispose your asset. Don't sell, because you will not get any buyer. You will get a very poor price for that. We're happy we're seeing hospital visits have gone down. People are careful, more hygiene. Parents are taking care of their children. But it is important to have health care at this point, health insurance. At this time, whatever happens is good to stay secure.
So to see, you're saying we need to go into self-preservation and also look for other ways of making money or investments.
Yes, go in self-preservation, look at what else you can do, and if you can actually bring your business online, it is very critical that we find a way of coming online. Whatever you do, bring it online. Thank you, because the church has found its space online. We're getting our services online. We're able to follow the TV online, and this is the same for all the other businesses. People have to come online. So if you're a leader, basically we said adopt a role model approach. Be a role model. What you are asking people to do, also do it yourself. Do it yourself. Take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, there might be no people taking care of you. So eat well, exercise, get something called me time. Because now we need more brain power. And you might actually need a lot of time to be able to focus on the issues that you have. So get me time for your prayer, for your meditation, for thinking about the issues that you're dealing with. And that is going to be very necessary. Workout, look for reasons to work out all the workout facilities. And the other thing is better your skills. The leadership skills that worked in the past will not work tomorrow. And that means look for, maybe spend 30 minutes a day trying to up your skills. Whether it means reading your Bible, whether it means going on YouTube and finding a new skill, improving your use of technology, that's critical for every leader, because we are moving into a space we have not been before.
Thank you very much for sharing those insights. As we end this interview, I think it's also important for me to ask you to share with us how one can access some online coaching. I know you may be doing
There's a lot of resources available online for different purposes. For those of us who got children, we know there's a lot of places where we can actually get material for our children, for them to be able to learn. We have a lot of resources in the internet. I think YouTube is fantastic because YouTube, you ask what you want and there'll be somebody out there to do that for you. You can actually ask Google. I always tell people Google is my uncle, and uncles tend to know everything. What you don't know, ask your uncle.
Yes.
And Uncle Google will tell you what you don't know. A lot of peers, the people who are in the know, and there are a lot of programs that are being offered. If you want to follow us, we have a website, we have a YouTube channel.
Can you share with us?
Yes, our YouTube channel is Personal Finance Academy Kenya. Our website is www.pfa.co.ke, and we sometimes do Facebook. We run a program. It's called a Wealth Creation Masterclass, and in that we equip people on how to be able to manage their money better. This is something the teachers missed in the school system, and we have learned it the hard way in the workplace. So we have put these things together, and we've actually over the years been helping people. If you have a good relationship with your money, you will have a good relationship with your God, because you will actually pay your tithe and your offerings. You will actually be able to take care of your family, and you even be able to take care of yourself when you get old. So it is important to have a good relationship with your money. And you can only take a step, go out, buy a book, register for a program, or go online and learn. It is time that we have a bit more time in our hands. We are not fighting with traffic, and that extra 30 minutes a day, if you actually just dedicate it into building yourself, you'll be surprised by the end of the year you will have 180 hours of building yourself, and that is big for building yourself. You can build your faith, you can build your wellness, you can build your relationships, whatever it is. And as I finish, it is important for people to build bonds where they are. The people you live with every day, you cannot lead out there if you're not leading where you are. And we need to have stronger bonds. If you have young children, can you discover the games they play? Can you learn board games? If you didn't know chess, this is the time. If you didn't know scramble, if you didn't know draft, monopoly, this is the time to learn those things. Because we need to engage the mind even as we engage the body.
Thank you very much for finding time to share with us. And for that rich engagement, I want to thank you and wish you well during this difficult time.
Thank you, and most welcome. And our viewers, really appreciate to share this. Let us keep engaging. That way we are going to better ourselves.
Thank you. God bless you. Join us again for more interviews. God bless you.